Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and today I just want to do a quick sort of SPL season finale summary kind of deal. Yes indeed, it's the end of my run in the SPL, as you're well aware. SPL Season 3 with their VGC season, for me, has come to an end. The playoffs, obviously, they're still going on. Fully encourage you to go watch them. Everyone's links is in the SPL. Down in the description below, so you check them out. I, of course, alas, am not one of them. We finished the season dead last. But, you know, expectations were never massively high. Me just not being a VGC player, it was always going to be tough. We took over a team that was 0-3. Our backs were against the wall. We made some changes, and we did what we could. But alas, it was not to be. So yeah, I just wanted to go through the team that I had. The stats, I haven't included the first 3 games of stats. Obviously, those were played by Kyle. We'll come on to that a bit later. These are just the stats of the sets that I played. Obviously, you know, sets are made up of games, best of 3 games to form the set winner. And yeah, you know, coming into this league, I basically had 3 goals. Coming into this, knowing that I probably wasn't going to do very well. My 3 main goals for this league were to, you know, at least win a game somewhere along the line, have one of my mons do at least decently well, hopefully, and mostly just kind of have some fun with it. So to come into this and win an entire set, have Mamoswine there get 10 KOs, and have more fun than I ever thought I would, that's a win for me. I had an absolute blast with this. You know, the team didn't do amazingly. Only 2 mons had a neutral differential. None went positive. But, you know, there were a few standout mons. Obviously, Mamoswine was one of my big transfer. It was my big transfer. My big sort of big money transfer was bringing Mamoswine in. And it put in a showing. You know, it won me that one game. Very much so. Sorry, the one set. It won me that. With help from Iron Valiant, who was very much a supporting character. Then you had stuff like Prim that went neutral and did Primarina things. I actually think the second MVP of this team was probably a Rangaroo. It never got the chance to quite support as much as I would like, but it showed why it does the things it does. And you had decent support from the likes of Duraludon, Stunjourner. Valiant did not have a great KD, but it really put in a shift as a support one. The problems I really faced with this, and I think they were probably some of the problems Kyle faced, and kind of the reverse of some of the problems that other players faced. We had some mons in here like Incineroar, like Amoonguss, who are fantastic in the VGC format, and, you know, enough cannot be said about how good those mons are in VGC, like regular play. But when it comes to Draft League, in singles, there is a reason that Incineroar and Amoonguss are not among the most high-ranked in prices. And that is just the fact that they're so easy to counter-team. And that became abundantly clear playing in this league. It didn't matter that they're VGC staples. They did okay, but they're so easily counter-teamed in Draft League, and that just kind of bled over into this. I had a bunch of mons that are very easily countered in Draft League, and unfortunately their prowess in VGC wasn't enough to save them here. And I think other people found a bit of difficulty in that as well. You know, there's a reason that some of the big Draft League players like Joey, like Mountay, like Amel have done so well in this. And I know people like Necra, I had a chat with her, she found it a bit of a struggle. I know others did as well. And, you know, it's just teething issues of getting into VGC Draft. It's not something that has been explored a massive amount, as far as I'm aware. Certainly not in the circles that I move in. So there's always going to be that kind of adjustment that takes a while to get to. And with me coming in at 0-3 and having to make changes on the fly to the team, that adjustment just took too long, and I was unable to sort of claw my way out of the bottom of the table. And, you know, a lot of people had troubles with that. I know I wasn't the only one. But, you know, we were just the team that was the least able to adapt. Others adapted far better than I. But yeah, you know, we had a lot of fun with it. I was really, really happy to be asked to be a part of it. And for that, I do want to have huge, enormous, massive thanks to my guys, Joey, Pokéaim, and of course SK, Shuckle King. the forerunners of this league. I know there were probably others involved in the decision-making process as to who to bring in for Kyle dropping out, and I'm honoured that they thought of me. I'm really, really stoked that they asked me to be a part of this. I had a whale of a time, and you know, I hope I didn't let myself or anyone else down too much with the somewhat lackluster performances and finishing spot. But to you guys, Joey, SK, thank you so much for having me along. Everyone else who's involved in that process of making that decision, thanks for thinking of me. Thanks for having me as a part of this. It was an absolute honour and a pleasure, genuinely, to be among all these fantastic singles and doubles players, all of whom are people who I've watched content of before in varying degrees. So I was super excited to be a part of it. Had an absolute whale of a time with it, really did. And I do obviously want to shout out Kyle. You know, he was the one in charge of this team first. But as so often does happen, IRL stuff comes first. It was never my place to ask Kyle what was going on. That is none of my business. What matters is that Kyle had stuff to take care of, and that always takes precedence. And whatever it is, I and obviously everyone else in the league and all the watchers wish him the absolute best with it. I hope to see him come back to Draft League soon, because his content is some of the Draft League content I watch the most of. I love his content, but obviously whatever he is taking care of IRL, that absolutely takes precedence. That is the most important thing, and I hope all is well with him. I enjoyed aspects of the team that I inherited. He obviously brought in Oranguru. That was someone I was looking to bring in anyway. Really enjoyed Oranguru. Always love using Primarina. I enjoyed Iron Valiant as a support mon as well. Hydreigon, I didn't get to use all of that much. And like I say, Incineroar and Amoonguss, I think Kyle may have found the same issues as me with them. In a Draft League scenario, even when it comes to VGC, where they shine so brightly on like the national and international stage, when it comes to Draft League, those two mons are among some of those that are just so easily counter teamed. You know, Incineroar prides itself on intimidating, passing, shotting, and doing all of that stuff. And it's just so easy to know that it's coming and bring an item to stop that. Same with Amoonguss. It prides itself on being one of the best redirectors going with fantastic Spore to slow the game down. And, you know, it's just so easily countered. It just was so difficult to make it viable in some of these matchups. And I'm sure other coaches probably had similar issues with some of the similar mons that are so fantastic in VGC competition. But when it comes to Draft League, it's just not quite there. And we did have problems bringing them to multiple sets. And, you know, we suffered a bit because of that, but it was always going to be a learning curve. I know it probably was for Kyle as well. It certainly was for me. But I did enjoy a lot of the pieces that he gave me. And, you know, the ones I brought in, Noivern, you know, it didn't really do much. It came to the first game, I had it, and then I don't think ever again. Duraludon was decent. I never quite got to take advantage of that Stalwart ability that some people are running now on Arcaludon. I thought Duraludon would be great for that. It put in a bit of a showing against Olivia in week 7, but not too much outside of that. Oranguru was pretty great. Mamoswine was fantastic, but this was where I sort of got suckered in because I knew that Mamoswine was going to be my new big hitter, and I kind of tunnel visioned onto that, where it's like, I'm bringing this guy with a certain terror, this has to be my first port of call. And watching back some of my games, I can see where I made mistakes. I think towards the end of the season I was playing better in terms of my predictions, but when it came to what to terror, I was making mistakes. Like the one that really springs to mind is the one against Olivia in week 7, where I saved my terror on Mamoswine to resist stuff from Metagross and Volcanion down the line. Whereas really what I should have done was focus on my main part of that game plan, which was to stop the Aurora Veil going up from the Alolan Ninetales. What I should have done early game was Terra my Incineroar to water, survive the hit from the Volcanion that killed it, get the Brick Break off, get rid of those screens, and that might have given me a better chance later on in that game, and maybe at least, or that set, yeah, that game, and maybe taking it to a game 3 potentially to try and win the set. But these are the things that we learn with hindsight and with just the knowledge after the fact. You know, as I say, this was a learning experience for me. Outside of just having fun with it, I wanted to learn more, and I think I did by watching not only just the singles players who I know a lot better, but also the fantastic doubles players who I don't know personally. Like I've mentioned a few names. Like I don't know like Olivia personally. I don't know Joe or Necra or any of them personally, but they're fantastic people. They're very talented battlers, and it was a pleasure to play against some of them and just to be in a league with others and to learn from watching them. And in some of those cases, adapt their VGC talent, adapting to draft, which you know was an obstacle for a lot of them to overcome, which they did, and it was awesome to see VGC in singles mixing it up. Some of the singles players had a lot more success than I did, but like I say, I was here to have fun and learn some stuff, and I think I did both of those. The other thing I do want to mention, and I hope my editing is good enough because I forgot to mention this when I was originally recording the video, is of course my silly little stories. I love bringing these up. It was a tricky one this time because I came into the league late. So my first thought, I mentioned this in the interview I did after the battle with Joey. My first thought coming into the league was, this is fantastic, this is amazing, this is going to be awesome. And then my second thought was, ah shit, I need a storyline, like stat. And so I didn't really know what to do, but here's the thing, like you all know if you've been watching me for enough time, you know that I love to have a storyline. And I'm often, like when I'm not doing a league, I'll always be trying to think of new ideas that I can bring to it. So I've got like future ideas for future leagues like backed up. And so for this one, I decided to revisit an idea I'd had but never quite got around to. So I like to base some of my storylines in draft leagues off of like movies, TV, any of this kind of stuff. And I'd had the idea, specifically after PPL Season 3? Yeah, specifically after PPL Season 3, the whole sort of Mafia storyline, to go in this kind of Archer Vice style, with the text that I've got and sort of the neon, and this idea of taking it out of Draft League City and moving it to another place, because the format is different, so maybe the location should be different. And with this idea of this kind of Vice-style storyline is when we moved it offshore to like an island. And this is where we bring in the doubles players and the doubles format. Something different is happening. We need a new location, we need a bit of a new look, which I really enjoyed doing. I've had that shirt for ages. Fun fact about that floral shirt, I bought it for a wedding reception where the theme was bad shirts. And I thought, this is on sale and it's awful. I love it. And then about a week after the wedding, when I was hanging it up after letting it dry off the laundry, I was like, actually, I'd unironically wear this. So yeah, we went with that. And I love doing the Vice thing. It was great fun to have a change of scene and to bring in this new idea and bring in this new enemy. The thing with that was, I was going into this league, and whilst I know a fair few people there are more that I don't know personally than that I did know personally. So while in previous league storylines, it's been quite easy to approach friends who are also taking part and be like, do you want to be part of this storyline? Do you want to help me out with this? More often than not, they'll be like, yeah, absolutely, and we go from there. But here, I didn't know all that many people. So once again, a big thanks to Joey for getting involved. We actually built off his idea for the last time he was in a storyline, and we brought that back, sort of casting him no longer as villain, but as kind of almost anti-hero, and bringing in the idea of like the betrayal of Amel, which was funky too. I did have an idea to sort of talk to some of the doubles players. The other slight issue there is that the doubles players who are in this league, we're at the time where I believe where a lot of competitions are going on, so they're very busy, like their schedules are stacked right now. So it was always going to be difficult to get in some of those guys to help. Like I know I approached Necra to see if she would be up for it, and she was very kind. She said she would be, but obviously her schedule is rammed at the moment, and also she's been quite ill over this. So again, shout out to her for powering through, and her editor. Hope you guys are doing better if you're watching this. But yeah, so it was difficult to get other people involved, so I had to do a lot of it myself. But it was fun. I really enjoyed running this kind of Vice storyline and bringing in this shady consortium. What will happen with them in leagues going forward? They're still out there. They're still out there doing nefarious things. Who knows what their involvement in PPL NX is. More on that in a little bit. But yeah, no, I enjoyed doing this little sort of mini, almost like, I wouldn't say non-canon storyline, but this almost kind of this side storyline that we're going to bring into the main storyline of Draft League City in future seasons to come. So yeah, that is pretty much just all I really have to say on the end of my SPL run. It was an absolute ton of fun. Thank you all so much for having me, and I hope that you guys watching along enjoyed it as well. As I'm sure many of you know, I don't play VGC. So I hope you weren't expecting too much of me. I hope I didn't let you down too much. But you know what? I had fun with it, and that is always going to be the main thing. And hopefully, sometime way down the line, way down the road in the future, I might have a chance to battle some of these wonderful people again. Who can say what is going to come in the future? Well, actually, I can. You know what? I can say what's going to come in the future, because there is more League stuff coming your way. I should say that. What is coming next at the end of the SPL for me? Well, as you may know, PPL NX Stage 2 is underway. As of this week just got happening, those from Group 1 have been uploading their videos. I am in Group 2. The uploads for my run in PPL NX Stage 2 start on Monday. Yes, indeed, there might be something coming up before then, a sort of team analysis-y thing like we did last time. We shall see. But those battles are going to come. I'm going against some of my closest friends in the world. I am so excited for PPL NX Stage 2. I hope you are as well. We're back to singles combat. Maybe we'll have a better chance. But that is going to wrap things up from me. I've got a bit of a sore throat right now, so I don't want to be talking too much. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the run that I had in doubles in SPL VGC. I hope you continue to watch the playoffs all the way up to the final. There's going to be some fantastic content from some amazing people coming your way, so keep an eye out for all of them. Like I say, links down in the description below to everyone who is in the SPL this season. Check them all out. Go and show them some love. They all deserve it massively. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on far too long. So, my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.